Yeah. But you were saying Alex Jones was arrested for DWI in Texas, right?
Right. So Alex Jones, and did you
and
watch
Yeah, I did watch it, but when he first said to me, I thought it was John Jones you were talking about, not Alex Jones.
Oh, right.
John,
if he was he would have like hit somebody in a car or something like that.
Yeah, what John Jones would have done is he would have hit them with his car, got out of the car, hit them with his, poked them with his fingers in their eyes, poked the eyes out, got back in his car, and then took off.
He's the dirtiest fighter. I don't care. Like, you've heard anecdotally.
Dirtiest fighter. Yeah, and
every time we watch him.
Yeah, and then he would have been charged with DWI, leaving scene, and poke and run. Like hit and run, poke and run.
Poke and run.
We should start calling him Pokemon. Oh God, Alex Jones. Sorry, John Jones. See, now I'm confused. Who's who? They're both fighters in their own way. Hey, but this is what I was thinking. I saw his video where he keeps hopping about his test being less than 0.08. I want to clarify, I'm not a Texas attorney. I'm a New York attorney. In New York, when you get a DWI charge, there are always two charges given to you. 2 tickets for the same DWI. There may be other tickets for speeding and all that because they got to give you a ticket for something else, right, where he says, they said I was speeding 5 miles over the limit. That's probable cause to make that stop. You need probable cause. You can't just stop somebody saying, hey, I think you're drunk. No, you got to stop them for something else. You can't just say that.
But did he
something
just
else
say,
some
did he just say that, though? Did he just say that, though? Did he just say that, though? Like, oh, I was, like, saying, kind of being sarcastic, oh, the cop pulled me over for nothing. He pulled me over for going 5 miles over the speed limit? Or
no,
was
that's what I heard. Yeah. He said that. No, he said that.
So it wasn't the
Either way.
Yeah, but how did the cop know? He said, what I read on the news, what I saw on Twitter, and then he like mentioned it in his little video, but it kind of glossed over it, that he was in trouble, or they were investigating like a domestic issue, some type of, I don't know, domestic violence, some kind of domestic dispute. So wouldn't that be, hey, the cop got the phone call from the wife or something like that? They saw him on the road with his plates, right? Pulled him over.
It's possible, but I read somewhere where he talks about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did mention that in the video. I just don't remember if it was like, oh, that's why he pulled me over. He just kind of said it.
So
like.
Okay, he said a few things. Listen, that's what I caught. He said a few things. He said. He was caught going 5 miles over the limit. In my book, yeah, they can write you a ticket for that, even 1 mile over the limit. Technically, they can.
Right.
That's the limit. You were over the limit. Probable cause to make that stop. Number 2, the officer asked him, have you been drinking? And he said, have you had anything to drink? And he did make a statement that, yes, I drank a few hours ago. That's enough for the guy to ask more about drinking. Right there, there's a reason for him to now start questioning. And so Alex Jones, everybody knows, if you're pulled over, don't stop talking. But he said in the video he wanted to talk about the truth. Listen, man, don't give lectures about truth. This is not about the truth. You've been stopped. Now immediately you got to change gears and get into constitutional law or just your rights. He keeps talking about people's rights and how the government is encroaching upon your rights and all those things, right? Why are you allowing them to encroach upon your rights? Just shut up.
Right.
It's not a show. It's a traffic stop. You know what it means? Traffic stop means please stop talking.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Yes, that's a good that's a good point. Some people think, I think it's just natural, right? Like the cop pulls you over, you're like, hey, you want to be truthful. Not everybody, but people want to be truthful and just be like, yeah, I had a beer 3 hours ago at the party.
Don't mix it up.
I'm okay.
I'm not
let me
asking
go.
people.
Right?
No, you got to be truthful, yes. But I'm not asking people to be not truthful. I'm just saying
I'm
do
not
not
saying
volunteer
that.
any information.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I don't mean not truthful. That's what I mean. Volunteer. Like people want to volunteer information to be like extra truthful. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look, I'm a good citizen.
Yeah.
I'm okay, but that's not what you should do. You should just shut the fuck up, right? Like pulled over, answer the questions, and that's it.
Stop the traffic from your mouth. Stop it.
Yeah.
Don't talk.
All right.
Answer basic questions.
Alex
Just
Jones can't do that, though. He can't shut up, right?
Yeah, he can't shut up. I mean, he makes a living. I know he's
Yeah.
made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, he's super entertaining, but right, he can't shut up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's not.
Right. He says, right. I was drinking. I had a beer. Or what did he say? I had like a sake bomb, or like a sake. An hour ago or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. Hey, Chase.
Yeah.
Can you hear me well, man?
It's like you're far away.
My microphone, I think. But anyways, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah, now it's good.
Sounds better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just had to do a quick mic check for myself. But yeah, don't talk. Number one, don't do that. Number two, he made statements. He says, okay, he's going over the speed limit. Number two, he says, yeah, I had something to drink. What do you expect? Now you're saying 2 hours. He doesn't know if you had how many drinks 2 hours ago, what the volume was. Yeah, you just started an investigation by volunteering information. And we don't know why that question was posed in first place. Like I said, in New York, you get 2 tickets. One is a DWI, blood alcohol content related, and the second one, or usually the first one, is a common law DWI, which means based on the officer's observations, you are intoxicated. It doesn't matter what alcohol you had in your system. He thinks you're intoxicated. Your body, you particularly, subjectively, not objectively, subjectively are just intoxicated by alcohol. That's what it is. And Texas probably has that too. So he keeps hopping about the blood alcohol content, but they did conduct SFSPs, right? Standardized field sobriety tests.
Right. He talks about that, complaining about it like anybody would, right? Like I couldn't stand on one leg, I couldn't do it whether I was drinking or not, right? That's what everybody says, right?
There are 3 tests, SFSTs, the Standardized Field Sobriety Test by National Highway Safety Administration. 3 tests, very quickly. 1, horizontal gaze nystagmus. They hold a pen in front of your eyes, couple of 6 inches or something away from your at eye level. They move it left, center, right, center. They move it. And what they're looking for is nystagmus. Nystagmus, in common language for you and me, somebody like me, layman terms, is vibration. When they move your eye, and they ask you to follow the pen, they move it away as in not away from your face, but to the right or left. When they move it all the way to the right or all the way to the left, a person who has been affected, I'm just going to use the word affected by alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes, affected by alcohol to whatever degree, his eyeballs will involuntarily jerk. They will vibrate. And it's beyond your control. You don't even know it's happening. So that's called horizontal gaze nystagmus. There's also a test called vertical gaze nystagmus, but guess what? For our case, for alcohol, you're going to display horizontal gaze nystagmus. That's number 1. Number 2 test, walk and turn test. They say take 9 steps on an imaginary line, then turn around and take 9 steps back. That's your walk and turn test. 3rd test, 1 leg stand. You have to stand on 1 leg. You lift one leg up a little bit, 1 foot off the ground, and you take that test. Now, these are standardized tests. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I'll tell you this. They are standardized, which means the officer has to instruct you properly. The officer has to make sure that you understood all the instructions properly. And then you have to perform the test properly. I know you're laughing because you're like, what the hell do these tests prove?
Right.
Because I know what you're thinking. Your lawyer brain is going in overdrive. You're saying, hey, listen, I could fail all these tests right now because I have a bad knee.
People would. Right.
Exactly. I have a bad knee and whatever's happening.
They're standardized to convict anybody. That's what they're standardized for.
Exactly. Walk and turn test. You took some steps. You're not good at counting. And the walk and turn test is also like, heel to toe. You walk like that. Now, who walks heel to toe normally? Nobody does. You walk with shoulder width or less than shoulder width, and you're just walking normally on the street. Nobody walks like that test. You've never practiced these tests. But listen, man, that's what you voted for. That's what the government decided. And you know what? It's fine. If that is keeping some drunk driving off the streets, I guess we all appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. But let's not even get into politics of it. I'm talking about these tests. They're standardized. Everything has to be done right. So a good attorney is going to look into those tests. If there's a recording available, he says there's a video recording. In New York, New York State Police do not record it. The local police record it. I don't know what the reason is, but sometimes we don't have a video. But it seems like there's a video. And if he has a video, if he has a good lawyer, they're going to look at the video and see if those tests were performed right. And if the SFSPs were not performed right, that's no basis for further action by the police, which means an arrest for DWI.
And we don't have the results of Alex Jones' field sobriety test. He and his lawyer would have those at what point?
They would have it right away. They have to be available right away. As soon as the lawyer makes a demand, they should be readily available. In fact, in New York, yes, we can make discovery demands and ask for recordings and all that. There is a time given, yes. Because it's video recording, they have to be given reasonable time to put it on their computers, their systems, then burn a DVD and then give it to you. But within reasonable time, there are always time limits set, and a good lawyer will make demands for all those things. Prosecutors generally are very nice, and this is my experience. Every prosecutor that I have dealt with, they are forthright. Immediately, they'll say, hey, listen, I have this. Here it is. Go ahead. And if they don't have it, they say, hey, give me a call tomorrow or day after, and I'll have a DVD burned for you, and you can watch the video. I have a video. On the sheet, the tickets are given to you, and then there's always a sheet of paper, which in New York we call it Billow Particulars. I don't think the name in Texas might be very different. It might be the same thing, Billow Particulars. Out there's a box. It says video, and if it's checked, you know there is a video. There you go. Why is that important? That's what they base the common law DW. Yeah, go ahead.
How fast? Because in the video, Alex Jones had a paper with his reporting on his blood alcohol content. Is that separate, or is that you get your blood alcohol content results along with the results of the field sobriety test all together, or what?
So okay, all right. So I think I got your question. So I'm going to just run through what happened. Okay. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You know the show on Netflix or something? It's called Mr. Monk or The Monk or whatever.
I haven't seen it.
So I'm going to use this phrase. He says, this is what happened. It seems he's got some ability to he just knows. He's psychic. I'm not psychic. I know how this goes because I've watched many videos of traffic stops. Yeah. So Alex Jones, in his video, he says he was told he was going 5 miles over the speed limit. That's enough for conducting a traffic stop. So the police officers decided that he's going to conduct a traffic stop for somebody going 5 miles over. I don't know if this is normal behavior. In New York State, you're probably not going to get pulled over for 5 miles over. Maybe Texas is very strict. Depends on the zone as well. If it's a school zone or something, work zone, you're going to get pulled over. Anyways, police officer turns on his lights, red, white, and blue. Alex Jones pulls over. Police officer comes to a stop behind him, keeps his lights on, exits the police vehicle, walks to Alex Jones' car. Good until this point? Now, either Alex Jones' window is down or up. Police taps on it. If it's up, he rolls down the window, and they start talking. He probably asks for license and registration. I'm going to go by what they ask in New York. Maybe there's different customs in Texas. I don't want people to kill me over this. But either way, something like that happened. Alex Jones presents those documents to the police officer. Police officer says, hey, good evening, everything okay? What's your name? He says, my name is Alex Jones, officer. And then he says, maybe he smells something, maybe he doesn't. Says, have you been drinking? In the video, Alex Jones clearly says he told the police officer that he drank some sake or he drank something 2 hours ago. That's a statement regarding alcohol consumption. Immediately, a police officer is going to further that investigation. Now he thinks a person is breaking the law because he's either intoxicated or, let's use this word broadly, affected by alcohol. Make sense? Yeah. So what are the next steps? He says, sir, how much did you drink? He tells them whatever. I had so much. Maybe he doesn't. It doesn't matter. Police officer makes other observations sometimes. In New York, there are two. When you get a DWI ticket, you don't get just one ticket. You get two at least. One is a common law DWI, and the other one is DWI with alcohol, 0.08 BAC or more. 0.08 is the threshold for DWI in New York. Below 0.08, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Does that matter that you get the two tickets if there's the common law DWI and the other one? Does that even matter?
Yes, it does matter. The reason it matters is they can still prove their case without the alcohol content. If the police officer thinks you were drunk, you were intoxicated, they don't need the BAC. That's why you get that. Because it is a subjective standard at that point. Under common law, it's subjective. It depends on the observations of the police officer. For example, in New York, I'm going to go back and forth between New York, but maybe I'll just leave it alone. I will not.
Well, no, that's important. That's important because Alex Jones in his video. Well, it is because in his video, Alex Jones, I think, seemed to say that but I'm under 0.08, I'm under the legal limit, so they've dropped the case or they're dropping the case or something to that effect.
Yeah, no.
But you're saying that doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but
it doesn't matter.
You can still be charged, right?
Correct. Under common law, they don't need the BAC. The prosecutors can decide not to even use that. They can only charge you with the common law. Yeah.
So when people understand common law, i.e., go back to the time when breathalyzers didn't exist, you could still be charged.
Did not exist.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. You hit the nail on the hammer. The hammer on the head. Maybe I'm drunk.
You hit the head on the nail. Yeah.
Oh. Exactly. If you use phrases like that, that is common law DWI. You're hitting the nail on the hammer, sir. And that's
no,
not
sir.
Right.
I haven't been drinking.
Anyway, continuing on that line. So, yes, common law DWI, common law from Britain, whatever, man. So that's why they have that. And it depends on the observations of the police officer. What are the observations? Observations can be many. Observations are also what you told the officer. He told him, yes, I drank something 2 hours ago. Now, the officer does not know how much was consumed. He's not going to just take your word. And even though you think you're telling him the truth, maybe you're so intoxicated that you don't remember how much you drank. We don't know, you know. So the officer,
or you're just nervous and you're stupid and you just speak up, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
The best thing to do is it's a traffic stop. Stop talking. That's what a traffic stop talking.
Yeah.
You know, they forget the third word. It's not just a traffic stop. It's a traffic stop talking. Anyways, don't volunteer information, especially when you know that how these things can go. You're an educated person. Anyways, he gets money to get paid. Maybe you thought this was some kind of video, whatever. He wants to talk. He talks.
Well, you made the good point earlier that like Alex Jones, like, come on, man, like, you know that everybody's out to get you. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk and give up information on a traffic stop. But look, that's what I mean. Even Alex Jones made the mistake of talking. You know, like, he can't shut up. That's his thing. But like, still, you know what I mean? Like, even he made the mistake of when the officer says, "Have you been drinking?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been drinking, but only 1 hour ago." Like, if Alex Jones does that, everybody does that, right? And maybe, you know.
It's human nature. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You know, I know I made that point, but you clarified it further, and absolutely right. We as human beings, that's our reaction when we think we're being accused. We think being upfront, honest, is going to save the day, and they'll say, "Okay, Mr. Jones, you've been very honest and truthful. You're credible.
Right.
Please proceed, sir. Forget about the speeding ticket. Just take it as a warning. Be safe out there, and thank you for your service." No, that's not how it works.
Right.
You open your mouth. Those are the observations the police officer is making. Your speech is also his observation. Now, DWI. On the Bill of Particulars, there's a paper called Bill of Particulars in New York, and they mention all these things: slurred speech, watery eyes or bloodshot eyes, okay, and odor of alcohol. These are like standard things. There are also like sections where they write, driver in the car or keys in the ignition, motor running. They need to say all that. If your motor was not running and the key is not in the ignition, they cannot prove the driving part. They prove everything. Driving while intoxicated. They have to prove all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? As a defense attorney, I can get into the nuances. And as a prosecutor, a good prosecutor can get into the nuances of all this. But this is not, I guess, the time and place for it. We're talking about Mr. Alex Jones. So I'll just move forward. Police officer then makes observations, and now he has statements. Now a guy is actually telling you, yes, I drank something. And then maybe the police officer smells some alcohol. Doesn't mean he's presuming he's drunk. It only means he's presuming he needs to investigate this further. And he is going to investigate this further. He says, "Mr. Jones, can you get out of the car, please?" "Sure, officer." He gets out of the car. He makes observations. What are the observations? Mr. Alex Jones got out of the car perfectly all right in the objective standard and also subjectively. Or he took support of his car. He was leaning on the car. He gets down too carefully, too slowly, not like a normal person, not like how he'd exit. And, he's a little uncoordinated. That's an observation right there. Just getting out of the car is also going to work against you. Boom. People don't realize everything you do when you're looking for license and registration. If you look for license and registration and you hand him your credit card and instead of registration, your Walmart receipt, that's a problem. That's an observation. I asked him, for his registration, he's giving me a Target receipt or a Walmart receipt or whatever, a Costco receipt, and instead of license, he gave me a picture, a dog tag or something like that. Yeah, that's a problem. Observation. Everything you're doing. How much were you fumbling in the car? I've had cases where the allegation is the driver license was on the lap of the person because as soon as I stopped, he may have pulled it out to show it to me, but within 2 seconds, he forgot it was there, and he was looking all over the car for it. and the license was on the lap of the person. That was an allegation, and the officer said, well, I think that's because the person was intoxicated. Well, the person could be nervous. He immediately complied.
Right. But probably, right, but yeah.
Exactly.
They're hunting
go
you,
other
right,
way.
and everything,
Exactly, man, exactly. And those are the observations they're making, you know.
Right.
We are at, so we are at the traffic stops. They're going to make all those observations. Okay, you got out of the car, and he says, all right, you know what, it seems a little wobbly. He also said he consumed some alcohol a little while ago, or a long while ago, doesn't matter, a while ago. He seems to be affected by alcohol. Let me continue with my investigation. How do I investigate? Well, I'm going to use standardized tests. They're called SFSP, Standardized Field Sobriety Tests, agreed upon by various states and prescribed by the National Highway Safety Administration. Okay? So there you go. There are 3 standardized tests. One is horizontal gaze nystagmus. Number 2 is walk and turn, and number 3 is one-leg stand. In his video, he demonstrates a walk and turn. One-leg stand. Alex Jones. He says, I stood like this. Yeah, I swayed a little bit. My arms swayed a little bit, but I stood there, and the officer, he couldn't even do it for 3 seconds, and he blamed it on his heavy belt. And I laughed at him. Oh, of course I laughed at him. I don't think he liked it. Something like that. Guess what? Right. The officer is not there trying to pass the test. The standardized test, yes, the officer has to communicate properly. Out of the standardized test, some burden also lies on the officer. Did he communicate? Did he give the correct instructions? Did he instruct the person clearly? Did he ascertain that the person understood those? The person understand? Did he ascertain that the person actually heard those instructions and then understood them? You see the difference? And after that,
right. No, he's right. He's doing his job, right? He's doing his job, clearing his butt,
doing his job,
making sure he doesn't do stuff wrong, so he can
so he doesn't have
submit
to,
that
he
evidence.
Doesn't have to, right. He doesn't have to do that for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. As long as he communicated, this has to be done for 10 seconds, because Alex Jones actually makes that admission that I did it for 10 seconds. What does that mean? He got the instruction to do it for 10 seconds. You know, a clever prosecutor is going to catch on that as well. That's part of the evidence, man. That's the freaking evidence right there. And that's why I don't put out videos unless your case is
If you get arrested, don't go on social media.
Have your lawyer do it.
Anything.
If the lawyer does that, yes, if the lawyer talks about that, those are not direct client statements. That's a lawyer's statement about the case. You know, that has not, and the lawyer's not a witness. He's not being a witness there. And he doesn't claim
everything,
he says,
because
yes, everything you say. Until the case is dismissed, everything you say can be and will be used, shall be used against you. You got to remember that rule. Traffic, stop talking. Okay, going back to it. He conducts those field sobriety tests. Mr. Alex Jones said, my hands were swaying a little bit. Guess what? Every field sobriety test have number of clues, okay? And out of those 6 clues, you have to, you need to display certain number of clues to fail that test. The officer is already testing, and swaying of arms and losing balance or using arms to maintain balance is one of the clues. And Alex Jones actually says on his own video that his arms were raising and he was swaying to maintain the balance. He's making those admissions even after the arrest. Go ahead.
That's true. I guess I was going to say that doesn't matter because the test was already administered and the officer, made his observations. They were recorded. But I guess it would matter later, because then he agreed.
It would matter, right? Because if the officer said your arms were raised, you were raising your arms to maintain balance, and Alex Jones is saying, yes, I did that. That's an admission, or at least he's concurring with the officer. Do you really want to concur at this stage before your case
dismissed. I would say, no, sir, don't do that. Call an attorney. You really want to make a video, make it, but don't post it.
Yeah.
That's what and don't show it to your attorney, because if you put it in written form or form that can be reproduced, if you go to trial, the attorney has to give it to the prosecutor, any notes that he is making about these kind of things. It's tricky, man. Laws of evidence, the rules of evidence are tricky. Try to keep them simple. Don't create more work for yourself and your lawyer. And then don't go around blaming your lawyer, because there's only so much every lawyer can do.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Don't go around.
I know, man. I know.
Yeah.
Listen, from my talk, if you're going to gather anything, just gather those 3 words: traffic, stop, talking. Boom. This is the problem. And just don't talk until the case is over. Don't do that. All right.
Right.
So, So then he conducts those tests, the SFSPs. I know I glossed over it. I don't want to bore people. But, there's some onus on the officer, part of the SFSPs, and there's some onus on the person performing those tests. And the officer is making observations. Did he follow instructions? Yes. Did he say he followed them? Yes. But did he actually perform the test right? No. Did he raise his arms? No. Horizontal gaze nystagmus. It's for the involuntary vibration or nystagmus of the case, of the eyes, at maximum deviation, which means, in simple terms, when you look all the way to the right, say a pen is held in front of your face and is moved away from at 45 degrees of your eyeball, and you're basically looking all the way to the right and all the way to the left without moving your head. When your eyeball is at the corner of your eye, it starts vibrating if you are intoxicated. If you're affected to the point of intoxication. It doesn't have to be 0.08. If your body is such that it loses coordination of the eyeballs at 0.06, they may have a common law DWI on you. That's the issue with common law. That's what these standardized field sobriety tests also do. Other than the observations, person was speeding, that's an observation. Person gets out of the car, leaning on the car, observation of a drunk person. Person with slurred speech. Slurred speech is not SFSP. It's not a standardized field sobriety, but it's one of the observations. Odor of alcohol, observation. Vehicle in the vehicle, in the driver's seat, observation. Vehicle. The motor running, observation. Keys in the ignition, motor running, observation. All these things are observation. When you get out of the car, you got out of the car in your underwear. That's an observation. Normally, you don't see many people getting out of the car in underwear. But I'll say this.
Right.
A lot of
Doesn't
times,
mean you're drunk, but it's an observation. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's an observation. It's a sum total of all these observations that may be used against you. May be used. As a defense attorney, I can argue about everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is solid evidence. I'm saying this is what the evidence presented. This is the evidence that is presented.
And this is important because I think most people, and like Alex Jones alluded to it in his video, like, I was under 0.08, so, you guys didn't get me, I was legally driving.
Yeah.
But like you said, and I don't know if it's the same exact case in Texas, but in New York, at least, correct me if I'm wrong, right? 0.08, you could still be under 0.08, and we're still going to charge you with DWI because, right, like you said, common law DWI, we've observed that you seem like you were impaired. So, we got you. We got you, or we got you.
Right. Now, the caveat in New York, though, which also saves you, is if they do perform a breathalyzer, and because in New York we do have a law for 0.04 up to 0.07, which is below 0.08 for DWAI, that becomes evidence of an AI, ability impaired. So if they finally conduct the breathalyzer and it does show you 0.06 and you've shown all these common law DWI signs, but your BAC is 0.06, it kind of saves you from the DWI because that is prima facie evidence right on the face of it, right? that it's not an I, it's an AI. And you passed the law, so you're bound by the law now. The statute says it's an AI. It's a violation. It's not a DWI. So that's the issue.
Okay, so that's interesting. So so in New York at least, if you blow anything under .08, then you can't have a DWI. You're automatically moved to this other type of DWI thing called a DWAI.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's yes. So that can save you there.
I wonder if that's the case in Texas or not, if they have anything like that, or if they just have DWI or no, and it's all based on .08 or no.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's common law DWI in Texas, and that's why he should shut up. He should not talk. They've made observations of this, and that's my take from it.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy that he's talking about all this.
Well, I mean, he'll generate enough money to pay for the lawyer, with the video, and I mean that's his thing. But you're right, like either way, whatever, he's getting charged. But you're right, just you don't want to because you can get out of it. That's better anyway, Not get out of it, but right, like if you really were not affected by alcohol, then you've got, oh look, I blew under the legal limit. And I didn't say anything, about that I had been drinking or anything like that. You've got all these things that your attorney can use to argue, for your case instead of all these statements that are recorded on the internet about, that are going to be used against you.
Yeah. See, this is the issue, right? In New York, we have the DWI of .08. Right? If it's .18, they call it aggravated DWI. And then if it's less than .08, it's a DWAI. And then .07 AI, .06 AI, .05 AI. Below .05, there's nothing. Below, you can have up to .04, but above .04 is .05. So 0.05, 0.06, 0.07 DWAI. But in Texas, I'm pretty sure this is a law. If you're a commercial driver license holder, CDL, it's half. So instead of 0.08, it's 0.04 for a DWI in Texas. And even in New York, 0.04 for a commercial vehicle. So if you're driving a commercial vehicle, that's that.
So there's a higher standard all the way to 0.04, huh?
0.04, it's half. Yep. It's
Man,
half.
You're right about. You're right. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I got something else.
No, I was saying about it's all subjective, man. Is that what you were going to say? You're right.
Maybe we're talking about the same thing, that like, man, we should, and Alex Jones, he talked about this too. And I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about was that, he was like, hey, like restaurants, bars shouldn't be able to serve alcohol because how can you get away from there without, like having ingested alcohol and then leaving, you're going to drive. So like, if you can't have any alcohol in your system at all, these places shouldn't be able to say. I know he was being sarcastic, but he was kind of making a point. Like, yeah, like you said, at least like like people don't know. Like I don't know what's 0.02, what's 0.04, what's 0.08. Like
yeah,
what is that? Now, you don't know until you're gonna test
you don't know until you'll never know until the sophisticated machine actually measures it. Now in New York, there's also for under 21. If you're less than 21 years of age, there's zero tolerance. That means you can be violated for 0.02. It's you, and I almost forgot to say it, but because you said what is 0.02, it just immediately clicked. 0.02 is another threshold in New York. If you're under 21.
Well, you're not allowed to drink
under 21. Yes, exactly. But you can drive under 21, but you cannot drive with 0.02 and all the way up to 0.07. Yeah, so that's another problem. So it's commercial drivers, regular drivers, and under 21. Boom. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that, jogging my memory, helping me jog my memory, because I never come across, it's funny, I've never come across anybody under 21 with a DWI yet. It's ridiculous. It's always somebody older than that.
Oh, yeah, interesting, huh? So you haven't done any cases where they're under 21?
Any, yeah. Out of all the hundreds of cases I've done, dude, no. Nothing under 21. That is so strange. That's so
interesting.
Strange.
You would think that would happen a lot.
I would think so too, but for some reason it's not. Like, at least not come to me. I'm sure it has happened elsewhere with other attorneys, but just my luck, I guess. I've just got clients over 21. 21 and over. I think the youngest one I had was 21. So, yeah. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, going back.
I haven't thought about that. But yeah, about that point, like I said, I thought it was like a valid, again, I think he was just complaining and being sarcastic. Well, he was, but, he does make a point, and something that you've talked about before is like, hey, like, if you're expected to, you can't drive below this certain, we have like these thresholds, right, for blood alcohol content.
Yes.
Well, how do you know, like we have no reference point. We don't have like an app on our phone to like be able to, to know if we're within the limits of the law. There's nothing like that.
It's the political will. I still don't know if the political will is truly to stop DWIs or to stop drivers, arrest drivers after they commit the DWI.
It's to be what's her name? What's the lady that we were talking about the other day, the presidential candidate who's no longer in the race?
Kamala Harris.
Her and the other one. Who's the other one who's like she's trying to be the nice lady?
There's Kamala Harris. There's Tulsi Gabbard.
Klobuchar.
Yes.
Klobuchar, who's made this reputation and tries to be in her speeches. Well, not anymore because she's not in the race, but she'll still, right? She's behind Biden and stuff, right? Like, I'm a nice person. What did she say? I forget the stuff that she complains about Trump, that he's not empathetic, right?
She likes empathy. Yeah.
Yeah, empathy, right? Right. The DWI stuff, right? But she was a prosecutor. That's the point that we were making. So, right, the DWI stuff is all just. That's what that is, right? It's all the prosecutors showing that they're cleaning up the town, right? Like that's a lot what that is.
Well, there are two ways to look at it, right? The prosecutors, they have a job to do. They did catch people, and they're doing this. So I don't think I would put the blame on the prosecutors at all. They didn't make this law. Prosecutors don't make laws. They don't even enforce the law. The enforcement is done by police officers. They then go ahead and make sure that they fight the case. They prosecute the charges. They don't even bring the charges. They prosecute the charges.
No, right,
I wouldn't put
right.
any blame at their feet. It's the politicians and the state and the local governments who spend immense thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising Stop DWI and all that, instead of installing these guys. You don't want people drunk driving, right? Install one breathalyzer on every busy street, the bar street or whatever you call it. I don't know, what are these streets called, where they're all bars and restaurants and people go there? It's like the hot scene or whatever scene you call, like everybody goes there, college crowd goes there, or everybody goes there to drink. Like in Albany, the capital city of New York, there's one street called Lark Street and there's another North Pearl Street. All the bars are there and everybody goes there and gets drunk. And then there are some other streets as well, like near downtown, where there are bars and people get drunk and people get pulled over right after they're drunk. That's a different discussion. But yeah, if you had a BAC meter, don't make it compulsory, don't make it free, make it $2, subsidize it if you want, and make it optional. If somebody really wants to get drunk and drive and they get caught, sorry buddy, you wanted to do it. But here you go, man. You can avoid so many things. And you're right. How would a person know what BAC did? And some people genuinely have a drink or two. They wait for some time and they feel they're okay and they start driving. They really think they're totally okay. And they get driving, and you know how they're pulled? Not because they're weaving or hitting somebody. They're pulled over. The probable cause is they forgot to turn on a turn signal. Mm-hmm. There was no drunk driving happening up to that point. Then they get pulled over. The police officer comes there, and then he smells something, and then it turns out the BAC was something that can lead to an arrest, like a DWI or a DWI.
Right.
So there you go. You could have avoided you could have avoided the whole thing. Person loses his license for some time, gets suspended. If it's the first time, gets a conditional license. There's a lot of resources wasted there of the citizens. Yeah. So are we as a community trying to prevent that by giving options? Not, again, I'm not about big government making everything mandatory. I'm saying make it optional. Don't make it free. Subsidize it if you can. Whatever you're spending on the billboards, come on, they got to be expensive. Getting a billboard on a highway for Stop DWI, that's got to be expensive. Divert that money somewhere else, because we are paying through our tax dollars anyways. Put it here.
Well, it's like if there's speed. I'm just saying there's speed limit signs everywhere, and there's a speedometer in all the cars. You know, then it's like, well, if you're gonna test people on blood alcohol content, then you either say, hey, you can't drink, period, or hey, here's some way to measure that. Here's a little booth we put everywhere. Like you said, even if it's just the places that are in the, on Lark Street, on the bar section of town, right? Like, come on, those are put there. Those are encouraged there. The businesses are licensed to sell alcohol. That's all controlled by the state. Put some way for people to be able to measure that, because they're not walking home. They're driving home. And so what are they supposed to do? Just know, hey, I had a beer an hour ago, and right? There's no like way to be able to measure that. Like, there's no speed limit. There's nothing. So you're just kind of flying blind.
Yeah, and you gave a perfect example of these speed limits, posted speed limits. Yes, then people have ways to measure. They have a standard. They have a measuring device in their car. There's a limit out there, and everything's working out. Yes, we still have speedsters, but not everybody's speeding. People, if they're going over the limit, there's a buffer zone, an allowed buffer zone through practice, not by law. But people follow that, and most people follow that. They say, God, there's a 30 limit here. What am I doing? Oh, I'm doing 42. Let me step down to 35. I don't want to get pulled over today.
And
you're absolutely right.
Right.
A tangible way of ascertaining where you stand.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I don't know where the political will lies. If you really want to stop the drunken driving, all you have to do in Albany is install it in 3 locations: North Pearl Street, Lark Street, and one on Wolf Road, where there are many restaurants, and people can avail of those services.
Yeah.
And maybe the bars will start investing. Maybe they'll say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're right. The bars will start investing, or somebody. You're right. It's political will, and and then it would merge with some type of
leadership, man, and leadership.
Yeah,
it's political will and it's leadership. For example, right now we are through the coronavirus scare. The leadership should say, hey, listen, all non-essential driving, we will make it optional. You can work from home. As long as you do your work, you're fine. Everybody who's working at a computer terminal can work from home. We can put a stop to this. You know what else you're going to put a stop to? Pollution. People are not going to drive back and forth from the office, from their homes. They'll stay at home. You can log in. There's a way to log in. If you don't have software for login, ask the person to call the manager every hour or every 3 hours. Hey, I'm still at home. I am working. I got this done. Send me an email. I will do that. People can do this. You can save the planet, and you can also save people from coronavirus spread, slow down the spread like China did, And we can do that. There's no leadership, man. There's no leadership. They don't want to take the easiest steps. I'm not even making it mandatory because guess what? When it really comes down on us, when it really rains, we'll all have to unfurl our umbrellas. Right now, all I'm saying is wear some hats, give us some umbrellas, say, hey, man, you want an umbrella? All right, use it. Make it optional. But they don't want to do that. And then we'll have to be like Italy or China where we have to mandatorily lock down everything because you know what? You know when that will happen? When somebody in Congress gets affected and dies, or somebody in legislature. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm saying they wake up only when somebody that matters to them is affected. Until then, there's no leadership. There's no proper reaction to this. People are commuting like slaves to their jobs. If it's non-essential, allow them, make it optional. Anyways, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but
yeah,
that's what is leadership.
I just don't want to go off either. Yeah.
But make it optional. Same thing with BAC meters. Make it optional. If Alex Jones was in a restaurant and it had that, you think Alex Jones wouldn't check? He would have probably checked. You know, I know whatever you say about him, he's probably a smart guy. We don't know, but he doesn't seem like a dumb guy. He would say, sure, let me check my BAC. You know what? It's 0.06, 0.08 legal, but guess what? Maybe I'll wait a little more. I don't want this high anyways. Let me sober up 0.04 or maybe 0.02. I can kill some time. I'll call somebody, my buddy, and I'll drink some water.
Would. Yeah, everybody would, you know.
And I mean, everybody will, man. It'll become so much safer, less deaths. You know, we keep talking about kids being killed and mothers being killed and daughters being killed and sons being killed. All this will stop.
Yeah.
All this will stop, and it'll be good business. And now he's saying he's not going to drink and all that, but this is after the fact.
Yeah, well, that's the only solution too. Like you know, like I was saying, and I've heard this point made by somebody else. Is like, well, either exactly. There's no way to measure it. The only option is to not ever drink or not, be very, very exaggerated, not drink way before you go somewhere. You know.
Right. My rule of thumb: when I go out, I don't drink. I just don't.
Yeah,
and people think that's funny. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, people think that's funny. Hey, you're a DWI, and they joke. Oh, you're an attorney. I'm sure you know a lot of DWI attorneys. I said I do actually, and I do a lot of DWIs, and it somehow instilled this. I don't want to say fear, but this recognition that
you know the reality of it.
Yes, the reality.
Yeah.
No matter what your alcohol level is, subjectively, I really don't know how it's going to affect me on that particular day. Depends how much I've rested, how much I've eaten, and so many other factors. What my body weight is, how my body's metabolizing, what my liver is doing right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
None
of us know.
Could be a problem. And the thing is, you know, the most important thing for me is not all that. The most important thing for me is I don't want to cause injury to another person because I was selfish and I got drunk. I just cannot do that. You know, if you're convicted of a DWI or you plead guilty to a DWI, part of the sentencing involves a class called as Victim Impact Panel, VIP. And you actually have to sit there and watch a 2.5 or 3 hour video or a course. I have not attended it. I know I should know the details of what happens behind those doors. Maybe one day I will attend it just to see. But they attend that, and you get to know what victims go through, what their families go through. And, you don't want that, man. You don't want to do that. And Alex Jones, I'm very surprised. Isn't he like a Second Amendment supporter, somebody who owns guns or supports gun rights?
Yeah.
Number one rule in my book, if you are ever going to own or operate a gun, even at a range, you shouldn't be drinking. You should have that. You should have that discipline. And you know what people are going to say? Hey, it's a free country. People can do whatever they want. Yes, they can. But did Alex Jones just say he's never going to drink again?
Mm.
Why did he say that? Because he got arrested.
Right.
He got arrested. Right. The charge might even get dismissed. He knows that. And he says he thinks it's going to get dismissed. And you know what? If he's not intoxicated, of course it should get dismissed. He's innocent until proven guilty. I understand. But this shouldn't be the reason. The reason should be things that you operate. You operate a vehicle, you operate a gun, you should just never drink. Just don't. That's my personal opinion. Most people will not agree with me, but that's my opinion. Don't do drugs. Don't do any kind of drugs. Any kind. So marijuana, legal or illegal. Alcohol is legal. But in my book, don't do it, man. Don't get drunk. Yeah, you had one beer, I understand.
That's what I mean. The point we're getting to is that, right, it's almost like the lack. You can't say don't get drunk or it's either, again, nobody knows because you don't know how a particular substance is going to affect you until you have the education, and we don't have education about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's not like, hey, drink one beer, because there's so many things that affect it. Do you eat anything? Whatever your health is, et cetera. So, like, at the very least, in terms of the law, especially with DWI, because it's so serious, like there should be.
And I don't want to spread any myths. It doesn't matter how much you ate, by the way, with your alcohol. It doesn't matter, right? It's one of the factors, but it's not an important factor. And sometimes that can also be called as a myth. So because we are also
I feel way different when I do.
Right.
Personally,
but hang on. But just so I'm very clear, the only factor that matters is how your body metabolizes that alcohol. That's the only factor. It doesn't matter if you took a shower, you washed your face with cold water, or you sat in an ice bath. Does not freshen you up, does not reduce the alcohol in you, does not make you unintoxicated. The intoxication is determined by the metabolism of your body, and alcohol is metabolized in your body by your liver. It converts it into sugars, right? So you got to keep your liver healthy, and basically you'll never know until you use a sophisticated machine. That's it. You're absolutely right. And I think if the political will is to stop DWI, that is driving with while intoxicated.
In the end, like, come on, it makes sense. If you're going to if we're able to be charged with driving while impaired, and there's this, the standards are 0.08 or 0.04, whatever they are, nobody knows what that is. We need devices, in places, like you said, at least, and like Alex Jones was complaining about, right, at least in the establishments where they serve alcohol, I mean, honestly, that should be it. You serve alcohol, then you got to have the machine. That's all. Like,
see, that's the problem, though. But that's a problem. Those machines can be expensive. You can't put the cost on the establishment.
Well, it's the cost of doing business, right? I mean, we learned that in law school, right?
So this is the problem, man. No, I get it, but you know me. I am not about government putting more burdens on businesses. The business is there to sell alcohol. Again, make it optional. Hey, man, if you install the machine in your establishment, the government will subsidize it and have a plan. As soon as you say subsidize, that means somebody else is paying for it, the taxpayer. Have a plan. Keep a budget. No, hang on. Hear me out. Keep a budget. This is what I would do. If you put me in charge, this is what I would do. I would say, this was the budget last year, that is 2019. This was the budget 2018 and 17. Last 3 years, we spent so much on these billboards and whatever we did on DWI and DWI enforcement. All right? We spent $300,000. That's my budget.
Yeah, agreed.
Now there are Now, out of the $300,000, there are 3 establishments which say we will install the machine. I can take something out of this budget. This budget has to take a hit. And I'm going to take $50,000 or make it mathematically easy, right? $60,000, and I'm going to give $20,000 to each of these establishments if they will install the machines. Now, for example, if the machine only costs $20,000, then even better. Then I'll just tell them, hey, listen, I'm installing this. Just make sure you pay for the, if you want it, it's an option, but you got to pay only for the maintenance. Yeah, they'll pay something, And then whoever wants to conduct a test can pay $2, $1 or $2, like you tip the waitress. You give $2 and you conduct that test. Make everything optional. Because anytime you make something mandatory, that's where the government is coming in. And I don't trust the government to do everything right.
That's how you pay for it. It's just a question of pay. I think, here's what I think. Look, it's mandatory that you're getting charged with DWI if you're driving over .08, all right? There's no option for that. So look, the government is licensing. We're not even talking about drinking at home, but you're licensing establishments to sell alcohol, establishments to serve alcohol, where they well know that people are driving there to get there and get back. So it's a responsibility. If the people want to say, hey, we're going to arrest people for driving at this certain level, then they need to be able to provide some type of ways that people can measure that, because we are completely clueless. Nobody knows what it is, right? What's 0.04, 0.08, like we talked about. So they need to provide it. Like, look, if they can license it out, they can license the ability to sell alcohol, then that place has to have one. That doesn't mean the business has to pay for it. The government has to pay for it, right? Or they set it up and then, like you said, you charge, you have to pay $2 to take the test. That'll fund it.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Exactly. Yes. So I think we agree on this, that we cannot make it mandatory if it's expensive on the business, because some owners are not big owners. The shop can be a very small shop, or the bar might be a very small area. They might not be doing good business as it is. The only business they're making is through selling that alcohol, and the restaurant's not doing well. We don't want to put more burden on these establishments. We want people to be able to earn money. And anytime you make something mandatory, that's the issue. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just getting my point across. The viewers, I'm sure, will have from both sides. Some will say, yes, if you're licensing it, make it a requirement. But what if it's a poor guy running this business, or the business is not doing well anymore, right?
That's what I mean.
Make it optional. Have a budget. Do not increase the burden on. Do not increase the burden on the taxpayer. And if you want to drink, put the burden on the person availing of the service, and not even the burden. Make it an option. Hey, buddy, you want to get in your car? Guess what? $2 can tell you whether you're ready to drive or not. And if you still want to fucking drive, go ahead, buddy. Drive like Ayrton Senna, or sorry, I shouldn't have taken Ayrton Senna's name. The second name that came to our mind was Michael Schumacher, and both of these guys, I love them. Ayrton Senna actually died on the track. He was a Formula One driver. Very, very, very talented man. Excellent guy. Michael Schumacher, again, very talented guy, German driver, beautiful driving. The guy had a skiing accident and hit his head on a rock, which was hidden under the snow. And now he's in a coma for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. I should know. I was a fan. I apologize to all the fans, but wonderful guy. But that's what he's doing. He has a brother who also drives Formula One. That's what I meant, like a race driver. I should have taken a different name, maybe Danica Patrick. She's alive and kicking.
Whatever.
She's doing well.
Yeah. People understand. If they don't understand, they should understand. Stuff comes to the top.
They should understand.
And that's what we mean. It's another thing when you get arrested by an officer. People make mistakes, like we just said with Alex Jones.
Yes.
He knows everyone's out to get him, and yet he still, gave up information.
Yes.
So whatever. That's
right.
Look, no, go ahead. Yeah. Back. I think we've beaten the dead horse. This needs to be out there. I want to beat it one more time,
just
real quick. Okay. Like again, if I think, whatever. Maybe this once like our generation is more into government, we'll think about this and we'll provide some type of measurement for breathalyzers. Probably not, but in an ideal world, again, I think that the government should have to provide for these things. Because, again, what it does is it also, if the government has to budget for and provide for these things, right? Like, number one, like you want rules about what people can and can't do, right, with their alcohol. You can't drive. We don't want you driving around because you're unsafe at this level. Well, you got to give me a way to measure that, right? That means you got to provide for it. And if you don't want to provide for it, then I guess you don't really care that much about it, That's right. I think that's important.
I agree with that, and they should, and I agree with that, and I think the funds that they're spending right now on advertisement and everything else, they should divert it to the real thing. Cut it.
Exactly.
Cut the root cause. Don't advertise. And nobody's doing. If those advertisements were going to work, they would have worked. We still have DWIs and a lot of accidents. Don't they say like 20% of all accidents involve alcohol or something like that? Dude, whatever the statistic is, you can stop it. You can nip it in the bud, and you can solve the problem. And there needs to be political will and leadership for this. Leadership is very important. Taking the right decisions, not punishing everybody for it. Not punishing everybody, but actually punishing the few and actually avoiding punishing anybody. Make it so simple, we don't even need to punish people because people have got all those options. It's like Uber. They were resisting Uber, right? Some governments were resisting Uber. Really? And now Uber has made it safe. People get drunk. They don't drive their vehicles. They get in the Uber. They go home. They come back early in the morning. They don't get a parking ticket, and they drive away the car. Uber has helped society. And the people driving Uber, they got means of earning. So now you took some people who had no money, and they were, I'm not saying everybody who doesn't have money resorts to crime. Don't take me wrong, but I'm going to make these broad statements. I mean,
no, but
come
you're
on,
right. No,
right.
I talk about it too, like the amount of
exactly. You save people from unemployment. They're running their own business. They're running a nice car. They're maintaining it. They take pride in making this money. They're not living off anybody, right? They have pride. They're making their own money now, and they're helping society. And nobody has to rely on, unpredictable weather and unpredictable taxi service or bus service or whatever. Here's Uber. Boom. And governments were resisting that. Like, for example, I'll give you, you would be shocked.
They still are.
In New York, it is illegal to ride any motorized bicycle on the streets. Did you know that?
Yeah, they've got all kinds of weird rules about that.
Yeah. Why? If you promote it on certain streets that no vehicles allowed, but you can use motorized, dude, you just saved a lot of pollution.
Yep. Right. Pollution. I mean, come on, right? And it lets the poor people have some way to, it's like, hey, what's cheaper than a car, a bike, right? Or an electric scooter or something,
Of course.
I mean, like a motorized bike,
And they keep, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'll keep it short. Right, but this is related to driving, and I'm going to say this, and I think it's just come to my mind. I cannot lose it, so I'll come to it quick. They keep saying we got to save the planet. Here you go. They keep saying we got to provide something for the poor. Guess what? The poor people want mobility. They want to earn, so they are now driving Uber cars, but in their free time, they want some mobility without a car. The cheapest way, like you said, motorcycles, mopeds, scooters. Oh no, it's going to cause an accident. Come on, overregulation. That's why I was so opposed to anything mandatory. You give them an inch, and they're going to take a yard, and that's the problem with government. So you never start with telling them or even starting the discussion. Make it mandatory. If you're giving a license to an establishment to sell alcohol, make it mandatory, install these breathalyzers. Nope. Make everything optional. It's like you go to buy a Toyota Tundra. What do you want, sir? Do you want two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive? I'll take two-wheel drive. Okay, you just save some money on the front differential. Well, I want four-wheel drive. Do you want the Fox shocks? No, I don't want Fox shocks. I'll save $5,000. Do you want TRD exhaust? No, I'll put later, or maybe a Borla exhaust or whatever. You see me, I'm showing off. I know about trucks. But anyways, do you want a TRD Sport? No, I don't want a TRD. I'm okay with regular. I'll make a TRD on my own. Do you want those wheels? No, I'm going to put aftermarket. Everything's optional. That's why it works. People love Toyota. People love F-150s, Ford F-150s. They are buying in hundreds of thousands. They sell more than they can make, right? They're selling one every 30 seconds. You know why? Because of the options. You make it mandatory, everybody's sick of you. Yeah, what were you saying? Are you trying to say something in the favor of government? Please don't.
No, I'm coming back to your point that, it takes all these things, over regulation, the antithesis to all that, and to society functioning well. And I don't know how we got, I mean, I do know how, but we're kind of far off from the Alex Jones thing. But he talks about this, and, you know, we do too, is that, you know, it does, right? It takes it takes leadership and like engineering minds in government, right? People who are real leaders who really get things done, and not this political people who just want to like look good, you know, which is a scourge on government since, you know, time immemorial. But, you know, that's I at least I kind of feel maybe a little bit people are like kind of like seeing through that haze and like wanting that a little more, you know, like they just want the nuts and bolts. Like, look, man, we just need to get stuff done, you know, like. We need things to work correctly, you know, like I don't care if you like smile nicely or not, you know.
The political will has to be in the right place. We got to have a turnover. We got to have fresh minds in this, and
you have to have the right talent, just like any other business, any other enterprise, you know. And we're lacking that a lot. You have to have the right talent in those places.
Yeah, it's like a dynasty here. If your father's a governor, you're going to become a governor. Then your son's becoming governor. There's no guarantee that you passed on the talent. The talent pool is probably somewhere else. The advisors and all these people in power, do they really know what they're talking about? There are so many topics. So we can talk about everything another podcast or whatever. But that's what I mean. So Alex Jones, going back to his case, common law DWI, they could still get him with all the observations. In New York, they can definitely get you. So he should not talk about it. Am I missing anything else? Okay, you did ask me, how did he get the report? Okay, so this is what happens. I did talk about the stop. So he kind of gets out of the car, performs the field sobriety test, and then guess what? Then the officer decides, I'm going to put you under arrest because based on my observations, you are, sir, intoxicated by alcohol. Boom. He makes the arrest. He affects the arrest, puts you in handcuffs. Most of the time, maybe Alex Jones, famous guy, doesn't get in handcuffs, puts you in his car, does not allow you to drive your car. Your car is either driven by somebody who is sober with a license to drive that particular vehicle, or it is towed to an impound and is waiting for somebody to take possession of you. Then you go to the police station, some more pedigree questions are asked, maybe some more detailed questions are asked as well, and then as soon as they're ready, they're going to conduct a test called as a breathalyzer test. They're going to check the blood alcohol content.
They don't do it at the arrest, huh? Not till later.
They do it at the arrest. They do it at the arrest sometimes. In New York, they do it, but it does not tell you the level of alcohol to accuracy. It only says yes or no.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a handheld breathalyzer. It's not a sophisticated machine. It's not accurate.
Right. Wait, yes or no? That means that will measure like 0.08 or not. So it'll say yes or no, and the officer will let you know. Oh,
no, it does not. It is not accurate at all. It just shows presence of alcohol. That's all it says. Presence of alcohol.
What? Oh. So it's like another. It's just an additional tool on top of the field sobriety test.
Field sobriety, and it's and they may not even use it. If they don't use it, if they have, they don't need it. They got the SFSP. They can take you to the police station, put you under arrest for that. Okay. And if you made admissions that you already consume alcohol, there you go. That's okay. I'm going to take you in anyway. Then they're going to put you on that machine. That machine actually measures BAC. I'll tell you how it measures in New York. There's a breathalyzer, which means you breathe a long, good breath into the machine a couple of times. It's calibrated. There's a test it conducts with a known solution, and then you breathe. Your breath is a solution, right? There's a breath as a solution of various things. There's alcohol in it. It's a fluid. So that travels into the machine. It's calibrated. It uses a certain mechanism. I know it in detail. I'm not going to put it right now. Okay, we can discuss that later. It spits out numbers, and they look at various numbers, and they take the steady number, and they tell you, all right, it's 0.09, 0.10, 0.13, whatever. That's what happened to Alex Jones. They probably got a reading, and it's below 0.08. That's what he's claiming. I haven't seen his bill of particulars. So anyway, that's when they can give you the report. They don't give it right away. At the scene, they take you to the police station, they conduct the test, and they do it. Some jurisdictions might also ask for blood, mandatorily. And they'll draw the blood, and they can check for other substances. If they feel, hey, alcohol is low, however, you definitely looked intoxicated to me, I need to conduct another test. You may be under the influence of drugs. Nothing stops the police officer from doing that. I want your blood. Do you agree? Well, if you don't agree, in New York, you can lose your license for 1 year. It's called a refusal. Okay, it's mandatory. You have to submit to these chemical tests. If you don't, then you can lose your license. It's a revocation. Of course, there's a DMV hearing. Before that, it's called a refusal hearing. If you lose the hearing, it's not a huge threshold. It's pretty easy to lose those. You will be revoked for 1 year. Regardless, even if your case is dismissed in court, you go to court on the DWI and you win that case, you're still revoked by this, by DMV, because of the mere act of refusing a chemical test. You see the difference?
Right.
Yeah. So it's complicated. It's a lot of moving parts, I understand, but, if you read the book written by, Peter Gerstenzang, it's a great book. I don't know if I mentioned, but he was kind enough to give me a book autographed by him, the author, and I treasure it. He didn't have to do it, but he's a fantastic guy. I saw him, I know him, and obviously everybody knows him, but he is such a royal, regal, whatever you call guy, that he also recognizes you. Okay? He doesn't have to. He's a really big guy. He's a well-known guy compared, I'm nothing in comparison. He always acknowledges your presence. He's just the kind of guy he is. And I said, I'm going to buy one of your books. He said, well, I just came out with a new one. I said, all right, then I'll buy the new one. One of my buddies has your book with your signature in it. So once I buy it, can I come to you, get a signature? He's like, oh, of course. Yeah, I'll sign it for you. Okay. Guess what? I think the next day or the very next day, I get a voicemail. And it says, this is Peter. He doesn't even have to say his last name. I know who he is. There's a book waiting for you at my office, and I've signed it for you. And he wrote a very nice note in it as well. He said, when I started off, I was just like you. I would go to court and hustle, and I remember those days. Something to that effect, that he recognizes that I'm doing work, and I fight for clients and all that. But in his own much more eloquent way, he put a small note in the book. So it's not just his signature, but that it's priceless, man. It just goes to show why he is what he is. A great family, even his son and lawyers, great people, nice people, very kind, nice people. They don't need to be kind, but they are. And they're just like that. But anyways, so you can read that. There are many details, more than I can cover in such a forum. But there are a lot of moving parts in a DWI case. So the best thing you can do is not make the case more difficult for your lawyer and yourself, and not make statements like that. You don't have to lie to the police. Never lie to the police. You just don't have to volunteer information. That's it. Yeah. And don't put out videos like this. That's volunteering information about how you failed some of the tests. So the police are not lying. You did fail the test because you're swinging your arms to maintain balance. That's one of the clues of one-leg stand. One of the clues. You have to keep your arms to your sides. And I think you can only raise them up 1 or 2 inches. That's okay. But you swing like you're trying to fly or something, that's bad.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I wonder what the law is in Texas regarding that common law DWI, because like on his website, he's got the video, and then underneath the description it says Alex Jones shows the breathalyzer paperwork on air that proves he was under the legal limit for blood alcohol content needed to charge him with a DWI after being arrested. So that statement either says I guess one of 3 things, that in Texas you have to have 0.08 to be charged, which seems unlikely, or number 2, Alex Jones doesn't understand it, or number 3, he's saying it anyway because it makes good content, which is probably number 3.
4. Or number 4, the cop who arrested him doesn't know what he's doing, which is also kind of unlikely, because if he sees it under 0.08 and still proceeds to charge him with a DWI, what kind of DWI was he charged with? Was he charged with common law DWI, or was he charged with the DWI which says 0.08 or more? Why would somebody charge you with a 0.08 or more when they just got the reading which was less than 0.08? Okay? And then you may argue, well, they probably got the test later. Well, if they got the test later, how do they know it was 0.08? So which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, right, you're right. Yeah.
You know what came first? The duck.
Yeah. That's where the chicken comes from, right?
That's where the chicken came from. It was a weird looking duck, and then it was like, instead of quacking, it was saying something else. It was saying fuck, fuck, and then it became a chicken. That's what happened. Nobody knows this. I know it. That's why I do what I do. All right. You see what I mean? Like, it makes no sense to me. They charge him with a DWI. It says 0.08 or more, but they don't have the test. But he says, no, they have the test, which showed 0.06. So the cop was such an idiot that he said, 0.06, I must charge Mr. Alex Jones with 0.08 or more because I have 0.06 right here. Yeah. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. No, but you're right, though. Look, I'm looking on Texas TXDOT.gov, the Texas Department of Transportation, a page on DWI. It says the law on DWI in Texas. A person is legally intoxicated and may be arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated, DWI, with a 0.08 BAC, blood or breath alcohol concentration. However, a person is also intoxicated if impaired due to alcohol or other drugs regardless of BAC, like you were saying, common law, DWI.
There you go, man.
So
that is
not
common
number one.
law because the police have to do the job, man.
Right. Yep.
They're making these observations. The guy's all over the place if he's hopping and skipping and, doing the foxtrot. And then the BAC doesn't. So that's why I'm not sure what kind of charge he's facing. Is he facing a common law DWI right now, or clearly not 0.08? If it's just 0.08, then yes, it's prima facie evidence that no, he's not intoxicated. It should be dismissed. That charge should be dismissed. But under common law, the observations of the police officer, which shows that you're not fit to drive, those are also important, and that's what might be the case. And he really needs to stop posting and call me to defend him in court. But I'm not admitted in Texas, Mr. Jones.
Maybe you could get admitted quickly and then call him.
Well, I know there's an admission call like ad hoc where you can just do it for one case. But guess what?
Really?
They're probably you can get an admission different in a state just for that one case because the client so wants you and depends on you and stuff like that. However, I guarantee there are better lawyers than me in Texas and elsewhere. And if you really had to pick up a New York lawyer, you should pick somebody way more experienced than me. Not that, listen, I'm not playing myself down. I think I'm a decent attorney. But, whatever. He's Alex Jones. He probably wants somebody with a big firm.
Right. No, you're being humble. I'm sure there's big time lawyer. You're a great attorney. There's big time lawyers. I'm sure he's got a lawyer. But it sounds like, we just debunked Alex Jones's debunking of his DWI charge.
Yes. Because
right?
it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. If they got less than 0.08, why did they charge him with 0.08 or more? And if they didn't have that, then how could they even charge him with 0.08 or more if they didn't have the result?
Right, likely they didn't, right? We didn't see any paperwork with his taking about 0.08. He's just, it's the common understanding of a DWI, right, I think, for everybody is that, 0.08, everyone knows 0.08. Right?
Yes.
No one knows about common law DWI. That's why I think it was important to talk about this, and I'm glad that you educated everybody on this, because I think everybody, possibly including Alex Jones, but I don't know. I think he's very smart. He's smarter than I am, I'm sure. He knows what to post. He's not stupid. So, I'm just saying he knows that most people know that, and most people, quote, know that you get charged for a DWI by being 0.08, and that if you're under 0.08, you're not charged, right? But that's not the case. That's not what's real, That's not the law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why, man. That's why it's it's good to get that information out there.
Yes, flush it out. Yeah, there are so many moving parts like I said, it's and everything's an observation. Motor running, keys in the ignition, all that, man. Everything is, I don't even want to say some things because I don't want to
give it all away.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give it away. And it's not because, like I said, it's not a trade secret. It's just that I don't want to educate the other side. I'm a defense attorney, and I want to protect other defense attorneys and clients as well. So I don't want to just give away all the tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
I'll happily discuss it with the client. And guess what? I've beaten a lot of cases, and we have also pled down a lot of cases. But the prosecution always puts up a good case. People got to remember that. Prosecutors are talented lawyers. They're not something, a prosecutor is something, and then I have a lawyer. Dude, prosecutors are lawyers as well. They just work for the government, but they're lawyers. They probably went to the same law schools your lawyer went to, and they probably got the same grades or even better grades than your lawyer. So don't underestimate these people. They're trained lawyers. And they do, normally, prosecutors do more cases than lawyers. Because I may have 10 DWI cases, but guess what?
Yeah,
the prosecutor who does DWI for that county has all the DWI cases. So he or she is doing 1,000 cases. I got only 10 because only 10 people called me, and then 5 people call the other guy.
Yeah.
And then some people are only hunting for the cheapest attorney, and then they call the cheapest attorney. They didn't even come to me, and I never even got a chance to actually dissect the case and look at everything. Some guy maybe got the case and said, you know what, let's just plead to the charge. And maybe some guys just did. Okay, why not? Because why not? Because you can. So, dude, it's complicated. It's a lot of things to think about. I've had cases like recently I had a case not in Albany County, in another county. Guy was charged with a DWI drugs, allegation of marijuana and all that. It's a misdemeanor, just like a DWI. I actually just got it dismissed. It was just dismissed because there were some issues, man. And like I said, there are always some things that just jump at you. They say, oh, they said this. That's impossible. If you have something like that, case dismissed. Alex Jones, I'm not saying he shouldn't talk right now. He can. He should just wait until, if he thinks the case is going to be dismissed, get it dismissed, and then talk about it. No issues there. But right now, you're putting out all these statements which...
are saying the wrong things,
do not make 100% sense, and you're making... you're making it difficult for your defense lawyer. And like you said, man, when they're out to get you, especially when you're like watching your back every time. Why?
Right. This guy's the king of that. Everybody's out to get us, You should know. Come on, Alex Jones. Come on, man.
Yeah. Listen to Alex Jones, Alex Jones. Take your own advice.
Good advice, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end it on that part where you just said that.